Chairman of the People's National Congress Reform, the Honorable Basil Williams, General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform, Mr. Oscar Clarke, members of the government, that's government ministers, of course. I also see the Director of Sport, special invitees, members of Parliament, members of the media. Good afternoon to you all. And of course, I also take this opportunity to welcome the Mayor of Georgetown, Madam Patricia Chase Green. The task is not mine this afternoon to bid you the official welcome, but however, to guide this afternoon's proceedings along smoothly. It would, however, be remiss of me not to say a few words in appreciation of the fact that our party is preparing to celebrate its 60th anniversary in a very grand style. It started with a simple idea, hopes, dreams, and the need, obviously, for a better Guyana. These desires came from a man called Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham. They came almost 60 years ago. Those ideas, hopes, dreams, and desires turned into this powerful political organization, initially called the People's National Congress, now the People's National Congress Reform. Today, that powerful political organization continues to grow, showing its might after decades as a formally organized movement that continues to prove that it is capable of governing our beautiful country, Guyana. And on that note, I remind you that the People's National Congress Reform is the largest party in our partnership coalition government, the APNU-AFC, and you can give a clap for that. I don't know why everyone seems so solemn this afternoon. This is a joyous occasion. Smile. It is expected that after 60 years, like a person, an organization grows old and becomes tired and to some extent monotonous, but not the PNCR. We have become even more powerful and a force to reckon with, especially when it comes to securing the interest and the lives of our citizens. Old faces, new faces, people we know, people we knew, all grew together in this political giant. Some held on closely, others drifted away, some even returned after going astray. But what matters is that they have all contributed to this party in their own small or large way. And for that, today we are extremely grateful as we launch our activities to celebrate the PNCR's 60th year in existence, and we hope it brings diamonds to the hands of all of you present here today, of course, because it's a diamond celebration. The next presenter, it is always my pleasure to have to introduce him during these proceedings, because as young people, we are so not only young people, the mature persons, we're so very proud of him because he has indeed achieved and accomplished a lot, and he serves as a wonderful example for so many of us to follow, especially if we put all our efforts and, of course, hard work into it. The Honorable Basil Williams, aka Birthday Boy, again, that's for those of you who came in late and you did not know that it's his birthday. It's his 21st birthday today. He has served as Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs of Guyana since May 2015. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs received the first Government of Guyana Scholarship Award to pursue studies in law and completed the LLB Part 1 at the University of Guyana with a mark of merit. He proceeded to Barbados and completed the LLB Part 2 and 3 at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, graduating with honors. At the University of the West Indies, he was elected a member of the Guild of Undergraduates and served as student coordinator for the 13th Inter-Campus Games involving the three campuses of UWI, Mona, St. Augustine, and Cave Hill. He was captain of the Cave Hill campus volleyball team. He continued his legal training at the U Wooding Law School in Trinidad and Tobago, graduating with a legal education certificate. His legal career commenced when he served as the legal assistant to Guyana's first executive president, Mr. Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham, and following his death, the legal assistant to President Hugh Desmond Hoyt. The Attorney General spearheaded the legal battle against extrajudicial killings during the turbulent years on the east coast of Demerara. Unfortunately, yes, I had to remind you of that. And he successfully represented numerous young people who were maliciously charged with murder during that period. He has also represented treason-accused Mark Benchcup and gave representation in both the Lyndon Commission of Inquiry and the Walter Rodney Commission of Inquiry. The Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs was awarded certificates for participation in the USAID Attorney Mediation Program, Training of Trainers Workshop, and the Advanced Mediation Training, and is a faculty member of USAID's Faculty in Advanced Media Training. Mr. Williams, in private practice, was a leading attorney who enjoyed a wide practice in both the criminal and civil jurisdictions. He has been involved in many high-profile cases and has secured numerous successes. He has also done many cases pro bono. As a sportsman, he was a junior and senior member of Guyana's national volleyball team and president of the Guyana Volleyball Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as we welcome the Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, aka Birthday Boy.
General Secretary of the People's National Congress Reform and members of the Central Executive, Ministers of Government, let me name them specifically because we waited 23 years to be able to say this. We're now in play. Minister of Social Protection, Kermit Amnali. Minister of Communities, Ms. Rona Volkan. Minister of State within the Ministry of Public Infrastructure, Annette Ferguson. Yes, you need a round of applause for that. We waited a long time. And the mayors, let me recognize the mayor, the minister within the Ministry of Health, Madam Karen Cummins, Dr. Karen Cummins, yes. Who? Minister of State is here? But Minister of State should have come very earlier in the acknowledgement. I'm not sure why you're hidden behind here. Yeah. Yes, Minister of State, Mr. Joseph Harmon. Any other ministers in the House? Keith Scott, Sharma. Well, let's say members of the cabinet. Yeah. Mayors of Linden, Bartica, Lethem, New Amsterdam, Mayor of Georgetown. I noticed Mayor Holland, Mayor Beckles from Lethem, Guilford Marshall from Bartica, the place I was born, and Mr. Winter. Yes. And incidentally, special invitees, I see many comrades here, comrades all, members of the media, and I hope I haven't missed out anyone. But it's a pleasure to be here this afternoon and to see all of you here. On this, my birthday, I can assure you that I'm not 21, and that I feel like 21, though. I know Comrade Ali would take issue with that, but but I'm among family, and that's the most important thing for me. Now, of course, I've been subrogated into the shoes of the leader of the People's National Congress and President of Guyana, because he's on his way to Saudi Arabia, and so I had prepared welcome remarks, and now I have to move up to feature presentation. But as the GS was doing his thing, I was thinking it might be a good thing for me to just sit down and relax and say, as a sort man, say, I concur. But the ball's on the list. So, comrades, I'd like to say that this year, the PNCRs, we will celebrate our 60 years as a political party. A party which is the defender of the poor and working class. I mean, our credentials are undoubted in that regard. And we have had nearly 60 years of transforming Guyana. We had a short break of 23 years, but we're back on course. And I think we want to be on course for a very, very long time. Are you with me with that, comrades? If you're with me with that, give me a big round of applause. No short measures. And so we want to take Guyana into the next 60 years as a modern democracy, where all our peoples can enjoy the vast resources of our country. This anniversary is worth celebrating as it speaks to our strength in the face of adversity and what working together for the good of our country and not ourselves can achieve. We are truly united and strong 60 years on. And 60 years on, that needs another round of applause. 60 years as a political party in this land of ours, the most organized political party in this country. With all the democratic trappings of a central exec, our general council, our biennial congress, all these institutions of democracy where members could come, speak and hear their views. I don't think there's any other party like this. Not certainly the one with the Politburo. So, PNC, 60 years and strong. Now, Annette has outlined the activities for the celebration, which I will not address, but this is a time for reflection and assessment. We must take stock of where we have come from, the achievements we made, the struggles, where we are presently and where we are taking Guyana in the future. As stated by our founder, leader, LFS Burnham, on the first anniversary of our independence, and I quote, "As we celebrate the first anniversary of freedom, it is our duty to take account of what we have achieved or what we have failed to do, to note where we have done well and what we ought to have done better," end of quote. 6 decades ago, on the 5th of October 1957, the nation witnessed the birth of a political party that would go on to quell ethnic strife, modernize Guyana, and set things in motion that changed the trajectory of our nation for the better. The People's National Congress was not birthed by accident, but out of the need to put country first above selfish ideals. This party was birthed at a critical time when leadership was needed in our nation. It was birthed out of struggle and emanated out of a protest against dogmatic creed and divisive tactics. Our leader, the visionary LFSB, described the early PNC as, and I quote, "an organization of protest and struggle," end of quote. He noted that it was a protest against corruption, misrule, and narrow partisanship. Comrades, end of quote, but does not strike a bell about how prophetic this one was since 60 years ago? What is our main beef now in this country? Isn't it corruption? It is. Misrule. Partisanship. That's 23 years of that we inherited. And, it's only now people getting locked up. So, comrades, it was prophesied ever since. And our party was a response to the cries of our people again after 23 years. So leadership, direction, and change. The PNC was the brainchild of two giants made of vision who, foregoing all else, decided to put country first. These men, our founding leader and Guyana's first executive president, Commodore F.S. Burnham, and our founding chairman, as was mentioned earlier, Joseph Lachman Singh. It was the vision and bravery of these men in a form of political party, to form a political party to represent all Guyanese, and I emphasize all Guyanese, that caused the PNC 7 years after being formed to enter into government. 18 months later, the PNC led Guyana to independence, and 6 years later to Republican status. These achievements were not easy, they were no easy feat, as when we took the reins of government, Guyana had been ravaged by selfish leaders, a badly damaged economy, and leaders who exploited our differences by creating and stroking the flames of ethnic divide for their own personal gain. It was thus our task to build up the economy, develop our educational sector, improve the physical landscape of this country, bridge the ethnic divide, and restore national pride by fostering a spirit of unity. Our founding leader has long recognized that Guyana belongs to all of us, and therefore we all must have an equal share in her resources. Over these 60 years, our party has gone through many changes. We have had many leaders since Burnham and Lachman Singh, but one thing that has not changed is our ideology. That country must be put first. Today I can say that not one of our leaders, namely Dr. Ptolemy Reed, President Desmond Hoy, the Honorable Hamilton Green, I don't think I recognize the former Prime Minister. I'm sorry I was remiss, Mr. Green. The Honorable Robert Corbyn and His Excellency President Brigadier David Granger, they have not forsaken that ideology all these years. So ladies, gentlemen, comrades all, permit me at this time to reflect on the achievements of this great party. Let me look at the period 1964 to 1992. I'll try to see that I won't unnecessarily detain you. Forging our own destiny. The history of independence struggle cannot be told without lauding the heroics of our founding leader. The independence struggle in Guyana was launched by the PNC through its late leader, at a time when independence was a distant thought for many. But our leader believed in the potential of Guyana and her capabilities to forge her own destiny. His vision came to fruition in 1966, and it was his vision that caused then British Guyana to achieve Republican status, becoming the Cooperative Republic of Guyana on the 23rd of February, 1970. Having become a republic, our founding leader became the first executive president. The contribution of our women. The contribution of women have been recognized by our leaders since the birth of this party. President Burnham has been quoted as saying, and I quote, "The People's National Congress, since taking office in 1964, have been pursuing a policy of equality for women and has been concerned to secure the eradication from our society of the manifold ways, some subtle and some not so subtle, that women have been discriminated against." End of quote. Even as I speak, you could fast forward to the present with what our party is doing for women. In 1964, when the PNC took office, 4 of the party's general council seats were for women. Of this number, Winifred Gaskin was chairman and Hyacinth Goddard treasurer. Some of the notable women who have shaped and molded the party include Jane Phillips Gay, Winifred Gaskin, and of course, Viola Burnham. Jane Phillips Gay was one of the first African Guyanese women to enter into the British Guiana legislature, and she was a founding member of the party and the chairman of the Women's Auxiliary of the PNC, now the NCW. She was involved with the struggles of sugar workers, women, the conditions of children, the unemployed, and the underpaid. Similarly, Viola Burnham was an incomparable trailblazer. During the 1970s, Mrs. Burnham played an important role in advancing women's rights in Guyana. This was a time of worldwide agitation for women's liberation, and she was at the hub of the movement in Guyana. As the leader of the women's body, the PNCR, Mrs. Burnham initiated a number of economic projects specifically for the training and employment of women. In the political development of women, Winifred Gaskin, a founding member of the PNC, stands out as an extraordinary example of an early Guyanese politician who displayed exemplary characteristics of patriotism, commitment to cause, pioneering zeal, and strength of character. She was the party's first female chairman and was as passionate about the issue of women's empowerment as she was about the political empowerment of the Guyanese people in general. She aptly summarized the considerable social cultural obstacles that she confronted as a female politician by stating, and I quote, "In those days, Women who participated in politics lost caste. They were almost outlawed from society. And so the mandate given us to secure the greater involvement of women in politics was, in effect, a summons to revolutionize the prevailing mental attitudes. End of quote. Winifred Gaskell was described as a tireless worker who traveled under the roughest conditions, often crossing rivers during the night, doing the foot slogging work required for party building. As a politician, she consistently defied the odds and that were obviously stacked against her in the environment of a colonial male-dominated society that was in the process of a political awakening. Notable mention, of course, must be made of other female stalwarts such as Ms. Ormia Johnson, who was a former Minister of Cooperatives, Ms. Jean Maitland Singh, a Minister of Consumer Protection within that ministry, Comrade Yvonne Harewood Ben, who is still with us, Dr. Faith Hardin, who is not with us, God rest her soul, Ms. Stella Odiali, Ms. Jean Porsico, the late Ms. Jean Porsico, the late Ms. Shorty Field Ridley, Cicely Beard, and in contemporary times, we can't forget our women stalwarts. Amna Ali, Walter Lawrence, and the young Annette Ferguson. Comrades, today, the party remains committed to female leadership. Of the 12 appointees on the Central Executive Committee, 8 are females, including the same Amna Ali, Walter Lawrence, and Annette Ferguson. Apart from women in the party, it was during our tenure in government that Madame Desiree Bernard, the first female Chief Justice of Guyana, she was also the first female Justice of Appeal, the first female Chancellor, and the first woman on the Caribbean Court of Justice. You want to hear anything else about the PNC's cause for women? So we've had a glorious past. The economy, the economic welfare of our people has always been at the heart of our party. And Mr. Burnham had implemented many economic programs to secure the well-being of our people. After all, during the 1950s and early 1960s, Ghana was considered to be the breadbasket of the Caribbean because of its huge success in agriculture. We had the capacity to feed our citizens as well as those of the Caribbean. Therefore, it is no surprise that the concept of self-help underpinned his economic plans, as it was his vision for Guyana to utilize the full potential of our resources. His plan to feed, clothe, and house our nation was set in motion in 1972. The feeding program depended on the production of local food products. Additionally, there was import substitution, which saw us, instead of importing food, we produced the substitute locally. There was a housing drive to build 65,000 homes. With respect to clothing, cotton was cultivated at Kimbia and processed into cotton fabric at the textile factory here in Ranville. Education and youth. President Burnham, in A Destiny to Mold, said this, and I quote, "For us, education is the cornerstone of equality and one of the chief instruments for the abolition of snobbery, the removal of discrimination, the development of creative beings, and the production of a race of men and women who will never surrender to mediocrity of dictatorship of any kind." End of quote. Education and youth have always been at the heart of our leaders. According to then Education Minister Shorty Field Ridley, I quote, "The need for education change from this vantage point is derived from the fact that the output of that type of educational system did not meet the vital requirements of the education for development. The colonial political economy and the associated education system were simply not concerned with development." End of quote. It was within this context that the education policies were fashioned. Thus, it was clear that profound changes had to be made in order to fully situate the education system within the context of national development. It was the PNC and government that recognized the important role of our youth by reducing the voting age from 21 to 18 years and expanded educational facilities all over the country. It was the PNC which built institutions like the University of Guyana, Torquay campus, the Christian Labor College, the Sarah Potter College of Education, the multilateral schools, the several schools in the hinterland region. It was this government who implemented initiatives like the Ghana National Service, free education from nursery to university, scholarships for our children from the hinterland, and to ensure that they had access to proper education facilities as children in Georgetown and the coast. Infrastructure. Under the stewardship of the PNC, Ghana's physical landscape was transformed. Infrastructure work included the MMA scheme, the expansion of the Blackbush Polo and the Tapukuma drainage and irrigation schemes, the Demerara Harbour Bridge and the Kanji Bridge, the entire network of coastal roads from Quarantine to Escribo, the Linden Highway that bears the name of our founding leader, the bridge linking Mackenzie with Wismar, the East Coast Highway, Rupert Craig, the East Borbis Highway linking New Amsterdam with Riverton, the Sonata Textile Plant, the Yarrow Glass Factory, the Northern Line Monument, the National Cultural Center. It was also under the leadership of the PNC that our first modern international airport was built, Timeri, and named, and was so named in recognition of our indigenous people. We have also built more than 18 interior airstrips. And so we moved to preservation and promotion of culture and heritage. It was the PNC that ensured respect and recognition for all religious and significant religious observances. We recognized earlier on that space we must be given for our diverse people to celebrate not only Christian holy days, but the holy days of our Hindu and Muslim brothers. Therefore, when we celebrate holy days like Pagwa, Diwali, Eid ul-Azha, or Yuman Nabi, we must be cognizant that it is as a result of the inclusive ideology of the People's National Congress. Further, comrades, this party, while it was in office, realized the need to pay homage to our national heroes by building monuments in their honor. Some of these monuments include the 1763 Monument, the Damon Monument, and the Edmond Martyrs Monument. We also honored our first peoples by constructing the Humana Yana. Security and social services. In the area of security, it was our leader's vision that led to the forming of the Ghana Defense Force in 1965. Our party has advocated the provision of social security for the working class people. It was the PNC that guaranteed workers security through the establishment of the National Insurance Scheme. Today, the NIS remains as a landmark achievement and a major source of national savings, a national retirement fund, and finance for economic growth. The PNC's contribution to the Caribbean. The PNC has also left its mark on the Caribbean. Lyndon Forbes Sanson Burnham played a significant role in the development of the region. It was under his leadership, in collaboration with other Caribbean leaders, that CARIFTA and CARICOM were initiated and developed. His vision for Caribbean integration to become a reality was for Caribbean integration to become a reality. Additionally, it was under his leadership that CARIFESTA became a reality, as Ghana was its first host in 1972. So lest, comrades, you think that I want you to be kept stranded in the past, permit me to move to the present. In 2015, and that's a lot of fast forwarding, as part of a coalition entered into with government once more, we entered into government once more after 23 years by the rivers of Babylon. In just 2 years, we have achieved much. So don't bother about naysayers, soothsayers. We have achieved much, and if you think that I'm boasting, let me give you some concrete examples. We have restored democracy in Guyana. That's an uncontrovertible fact. And we have done so by engendering the development of local democracy. And by holding the first local government elections in almost 20 years. Enhancing local democracy, President Granger has also introduced and created new tongues new municipalities. And I recognize some of the mayors of those municipalities here today. And they included Bartica, Mabaruma, and Letem. And his vision is that these towns will be capital towns in those regions. And I think we have Madhya to be on board shortly. Isn't that so, Minister of Communities? Yes. We increased public servant salaries by 37%. Don't let nobody tell you nothing else. We reduced the PPP imposed VAT from 16% to 14%. But the noise they're making, you will believe, we did the opposite. But we actually cut down from them what they had imposed. We restored decency and cleanliness to Georgetown. Ask Mayor Green. We established the Public Procurement Commission, which they refused to establish in 23 years. We increased old age pensions by over 45%, from 13,000 to 19,000. We increased the minimum wage from 39,000 to 55,000. We increased the tax threshold from 50,000 to 60,000. And we had to do this because you know how they had our communities and our villages. So this was the first priority. We built and resurfaced roads and bridges all across Guyana. We restored a credible international image to Guyana. We robustly defended Guyana's territorial integrity. We established, we spoke about the new towns. We opened hinterland community radio stations. You aware of that? Yeah. Now we reduced the Barbies Bridge toll. Free transportation for school children via President David Granger, Amna Ali's 5Bs program. And $644 million we provided in housing subsidies in regions 1 and 9. That's the hinterland, comrades. We have provided $19.2 billion for hot meals for kids. We raised the minimum wage, $5.6 billion for water treatment plants, free driver's license for senior citizens 65 years and over, new housing communities such as Zeeburg. Marad was open, and the Maritime Safety Center at Charity. We launched a 1,000 Homes project. After 30 years, residents of North Sophia now have access to potable water. And I must say roads too, the roads also. And lights too. Laguan now has asphalted roads for the first time. And the radio stations are in Letem and Mabaruma. They have their radio stations. Now we have constructed and rehabilitated roads, bridges, health services, and schools in Linden. And we know what we're talking about when we highlight Linden, eh? Because they punished Linden for 23 years. And we have to pay special attention in Linden. For the first time in our country's history, just to show you the continuum of our respect for women, we have a female Chief Justice and a female Chancellor. And comrades, as I mentioned earlier on in the presentation, we have also embarked on a vigorous anti-corruption campaign. For instance, the government took positive steps to ensure that Ghana became fully compliant with the recommendations of the Financial Action Task Force by amending our AML-CFT Act and making the relevant changes. Additionally, we have also passed the Anti-Terrorism and Terrorist-Related Activities Act in 2015. We have also made the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU, functional and established the State Assets Recovery Unit, which created that girl our friends are mortally afraid of, that girl called Sarah. Recently, The SARA bill was passed in the National Assembly, and I'm pleased to tell you, I saw it on my desk today. The President has signed and assented it, and it is now law. It is now the law of Guyana. And so, bring you to the present. We can't be stranded in the present also. So permit me, Madam Chair, to proceed to the future. Yes. Now, the future, of course, is locked into the vision of His Excellency President David Granger. And during a special address to the National Assembly in May 2016, he outlined the way forward. His vision is for social cohesion to become a reality. I think we are almost halfway there. Let me hear some cheers to social cohesion. And let's say that our best wishes go out to the current social cohesion minister, who is not that well right now. But just to show you how a ministry that was created out of nothing, and the opposition was flummoxed by the creation of this ministry, they didn't know what it was. And now they've seen how it's unfolding, and the energy with which it is proceeding. I think, the ministers, you can't be fitter than George. And so he could tell you the amount of work and how demanding the work is in the ministry. So we must congratulate these ministers of social cohesion, Amna Ali and Dr. George Norton. The President noted that we need to work assiduously to eliminate extreme poverty, eradicate inequality, ensuring equal access to education, create an environment that fosters greater participation and inclusion at the political level, and enforce employment and anti-discrimination laws in order to guarantee the health, happiness, and safety of our working people, our women, and our children. In addition to addressing the social ills of society, our party sees itself as the vanguard of the green economy. Adopting a green economy enables us to explore cheaper sources of energy, such as renewable energy, solar, hydro, and wind, address the challenges to climate change, and reduce pollution, and altogether protecting our ecosystems. Already plans are in motion to green Guyana. At last year, the green Bartico Development Plan was unveiled. This is a comprehensive plan that will not only ensure economic growth in Bartico, but also contribute to the development of our country. According to His Excellency, who is the visionary of a green Guyana. So I was in Bartico recently, and I've seen the park that they have set up, and the other area that was created there. It's pretty nice, and I think it's going to be a centerpiece for the nation as it is now. Now, comrades, the President said this, and I quote, "We shall exploit Guyana's favorable geographical location and abundant assets in order to develop a green economy, one that generates human happiness in ways that are consistent with economic exploitation of its natural resources. We see a green economy as one that sustains economic prosperity, environmental security, and social well-being. It will allow the current generation to satisfy its needs without jeopardizing the opportunity of future generations to satisfy theirs." End of quote. The PNCR vision for Guyana also extends to the hinterland, as its vast wealth must be unlocked. We plan to establish economic centers in the hinterland region, which will benefit the economic well-being of our indigenous peoples. The hinterland must be transformed into a viable alternative to the coast that is constantly under threat of global warming. Already plans are in motion to expand the e-governance network that is concentrated mainly on the coast to improve internet access in the hinterland. I shall stick up in here though, this e-governance network. It was billions were spent to put it in the hinterland by the last regime. And those of you who drive to go to the North Park Arimas, you will see intermittently snake-like looking things coming out on the road. But that was what is left of the PPP's hinterland e-network program. Billions of dollars, and nothing to show for it. And nobody has been locked up yet. So, apart from the hinterland must be transformed, as I said, already plans are in motion to expand it. And we said apart from internet access, we are ensuring that there's access to the hinterland by air. Well, we have a lot of airfields, and a lot more air service going into that region. Recently, His Excellency commissioned the new Raytheon Beechcraft 1900D aircraft and noted that the hinterland is an essential element in Guyana's development and that it is the future frontier of economic progress and territorial occupation. It is the goal of the President to bridge this gap between coast and hinterland, and he's talking constantly about a bridge across the Essequibo River. This is vital for ecotourism and trade as it opens Guyana to South America. Work has commenced on the Puruni-Itibali Road in Region 7, the Linden-Letem Road in Region 9, the Linden to Ituni Road and Madia in Region 8. In 2016, 1.702 billion was provided for the continued rehabilitation of hinterland roads, including those in Bartiko, Madia, Ituni, Kokwani, and the Cassandra Crossing. A new Cassandra Bridge is slated to be constructed, which would restore the vital connection between Bartiko and Madia. In conclusion, comrades, it would be remiss of me not to mention our 23 years in opposition, lest you forget. During this period, we were a fierce opposition, first led by President Hyde, then Honorable Robert Corbyn, and then His Excellency President Granger. You agree with that? Yeah. We weren't eating easy, comrades. We were in a struggle. Our founder leader said we were a party of struggle. We championed the rights of the Guyanese people. We challenged and exposed the corrupt practices and the policies of the then government. From 1957 to 2017, our work, both in government and as the opposition and in opposition, stands as a testament to us, not deviating from the goal. That is, to be a party for the working class and the ordinary people. Notwithstanding that the primacy of our attention is with the working class, it doesn't negate that we will include all classes in society, including the business people and the like. But the legacy of the PNCR cannot be denied. Neither can the legacy of the great men and women who have gone before us. We are the party that laid the foundation for social and economic progress. We are the party that instilled in our people a sense of national pride. Our aim was to reform Guyana and bridge the divide, for we recognize that unity was always the key. Though we recognize that there is still much to be done, I am confident that we have brought Guyana a mighty long way. No doubt we have left an indelible mark on Guyana. Our success as a party has been not only to the men of the party, but the countless women, both known and unknown by the masses, who have stood in the gaps and embraced the struggle. Where we are today is because of our women. I said I'm repeating it again. Where we are today is because of our women. Further, the success you see today is also because of the countless youth who have recognized the importance of activism in political life. This party has a vibrant youth arm, and it is through their valiant efforts that we as a party has gone from strength to strength over the generations. GYSM, your efforts are noted, and we thank you. Above all, comrades, we must never forget that our duty is to the Guyanese people. We must remain committed to their well-being and to fostering social cohesion. In his inaugural speech after the elections of December 1964, the newly elected Prime Minister of the then British Guiana, LFS Boredom, addressed a fractured nation, and he said this, I quote, "This government holds that all people of this country are equally important, whether they belong to a large group or a small group. To us, the Amerindians are important. To us, the Chinese are important. To us, the Portuguese are important. To us, the Europeans are important. To us, the mixed races are important. To us, the Africans are important. To us, the Indians are important. In short, all Guyanese are important and valued members of our community. We cherish them and consider that as a government, it is our duty and privilege to guard, protect, and further the real interests of all people. End of quote. Comrades, I challenge us all to live out these timeless words of wisdom. Long live the People's National Congress Reform. The leader of the People's National Congress Reform and President of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. Thank you, comrades.